everyone, and welcome to the Future Template Parent Podcast, episode 31. And I'm Carolyn Solo, your host, EMDR therapist, business coach, and mom of three daughters. Welcome to the first episode of 2024. It's a new year, a fresh start. How could I not have an episode all about, the new year and what I'm thinking about in the new year? Today, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think 3 things you should be thinking about as you think about what you want to focus on in your EMDR practice this year. 3 things that I'm continuing to think about, and 3 things I think that you should think about, especially if you're still pondering EMDR intensives in your practice and haven't necessarily fully implemented them or are in the process of doing so. So, what are the 3 things I think you should focus on in your EMDR practice this year? Number 1, reducing the number of clinical hours you're working per week. Yes, number 1 is that, reducing those clinical hours. Second, this is going to maybe sound radical, taking a week off each month. This is a goal for me too, actually, and I think I can do it. And third, making intensives your primary practice offering, if they aren't already. So, reducing your clinical hours. Why should you focus on this? Well, often, as private practice therapists, all we can think about is more, right? How to book more clients. Let's maximize our profits, especially in the early years of our practice, when sometimes we might still have that kind of scarcity mindset. We might be thinking, is my practice going to make it? Am I going to be one of those private practices that folds, right? So we often take whatever we can get, any client that calls us, yes. If they want to work with us, immediately yes. And, lots of other private practice coaches and podcasts and, Instagram accounts talk about, taking clients you really want to work with. And that's ideal. And I think a lot of us, if we're honest, don't do that at the beginning. And sometimes that can end up with the practice that we don't really want. So also not just, having lots of clients that, we don't necessarily love working with. But, we're losing sight maybe in those early months, years of private practice. We likely got into private practice to have more freedom and to work less. But, it's been a few years and maybe now you're doing well, your referrals are coming in, and it can be hard to say no. Maybe you've built up a reputation as a really good EMDR therapist, so you get a lot of people coming to you. And what's one more client, right? 1 more hour a week, another $800 a month, whatever 4 times your hourly rate is. And before you know it, you're seeing 20, 25, maybe more clients a week, squeezing them in at times you swore you wouldn't work anymore, not taking lunch breaks. Maybe you're seeing clients 5 days a week and you really wanted a 4-day-a-week schedule. And so maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you really are. And I know it can be hard to admit to ourselves that we're exhausted, but you're trying to keep everyone's treatment plans and progress notes and what targets are we working on and how did processing go and what are their resources. You're trying to keep all that in your head. There's a lot in your brain and it's probably spilling over into your non-work life. You're thinking about work when you're at home. You're thinking about clients. Maybe you have clients in crisis and you're managing that. I get it. I was in that place 18 months, 2 years ago. And now I work 15 clinical hours a week, max. And my goal for 2024 is actually to average more like 10 to 12. And do that while maintaining or even increasing my income. So how could that be possible, right? Well, if you've listened to the podcast before, you probably know my answer, right? Intensives, EMDR intensives, of course. I preach charging more per hour for intensives, more than your hourly rate, for so many reasons. Like the energy expenditure during an intensive is really significant. I do think it's totally manageable, especially when you're structuring your schedule so you're not overburdening yourself on other days when you're not seeing your intensive clients. But you need to account for that level of, exhaustion and work and intensity on your part. And that should go into the price, right? You shouldn't be scheduling somebody else, certainly not on the day you're doing an intensive, but maybe even the next day, right? So you really are fully rested and focused and can really give that client your full attention. That's what they're paying for, right? But you need to accommodate for that in your income. And clients need to be taking on that price because that's part of what they're purchasing from you is that undivided focused attention. And also, another reason that I think you should increase your hourly rate and for intensives and therefore work fewer hours is that clients get so much more out of an hour of an intensive or than an hour, or should I say 53 minutes of a regular session, right? In a regular session, you're going to do the check-in. You're going to say, how have you been? What's been going on this week? You might get into a crisis of the week conversation because you're this person's weekly supportive therapist too. And then you process for what? Maybe 20 minutes. And then you need to close down. You need to regulate. You need to, get them ready to leave and go back to their life, or maybe turn off the computer. Well, turn off your session and go back to work, right? You don't get that same amount of processing time that many hours allows you. So yeah, I like to say that 1 hour of an intensive is equivalent to 2 hourly sessions, frankly, if not more, okay? I often think of an intensive as 6 months worth of EMDR therapy in a week, in 2 weeks. And yes, intensives are a high cost service, but they're a high value service. And not everyone can afford it. Of course, we know that's true, but also not everyone can afford your hourly rate for therapy. But you need to book 3 max a month to at least replace your income, at least the way I price my intensives and how I would, work with you to price yours if we work together in a coaching capacity. So you don't need to be out there, hustling for lots and lots and lots of clients, and you don't need to be convincing lots and lots of people. I mean, I don't believe that when you market an intensive, you're convincing anyone of anything, but I know sometimes it can feel that way. And the more good work you do, the more your name gets out there, right? So yes, I do think you can work fewer hours this year if you do intensives. And I'm committing to it as well. I'm going to be working on this too. Fewer hours a week of clinical time. I also think even when we're seeing hourly clients, a clinical hour is much more tiring than a paperwork hour or a something else hour, right? So, seeing 30 clients a week, the energy expenditure, people are not getting the service that they could be getting if you were seeing fewer clients. I really believe that. What could you do with that extra time? Rest for one, which is such a valid use of that time. Maybe some extra training, some reading, self-care, all those things that do make us better therapists. But you can't give that to yourself and therefore your clients if you're working that much. So speaking of working less, another thing to focus on in 2024, and I'm also working on this, taking a week off every month. I know it sounds radical, and of course, this isn't for everyone, but I invite you to consider it, okay? Think how wonderful it would feel to know at some point each month, you'll actually get to rest and breathe, not just for a day. Get those appointments done that are so hard to squeeze into and make days feel so cramped. Those appointments you keep putting off. Anyone out there who puts things off like dentist appointments until, there's no avoiding it anymore. We don't want to do that. That's a form of self-care, is giving our body and our soul what it needs. Maybe you want to do some intensive EMDR therapy, right? Maybe you just want to see a movie, take naps, work on that other project, whatever that might be, cleaning out a closet, writing a book, whatever it is that you never seem to have time to do. Go out of town if you want to. Binge 3 TV shows if you want to. Get that massage, whatever you'd like. Think how rested you would feel, how ready, maybe even how excited you'd be to show up for your clinical work those other 3 weeks. It would take away that feeling of like, oh my gosh, it's a long slog until, whatever next time you have time off. You're working in 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Like, what a beautiful rhythm that is actually sustainable, can help us sustain this work. And with intensives, you don't need to worry about missing out on income because you're not booking consistent clients like week after week after week, right? And you don't have to worry about hourly clients like feeling abandoned 1 week out of the month if you're gone. So something that comes up for people when I talk about this is, well, how do I transition my schedule full of weekly clients to intensives without abandoning clients, right? Well, this is something I work with coaching clients on. It's not an overnight fix, of course, and it's crucial to do this ethically and responsibly. And there are many ways to approach this, and your approach is going to be unique to your practice, right? In my VIP day, my one-on-one intensive coaching day, I teach you how to transition your your practice to intensives in just a day. And part of what we'll do is formulate the ideal plan for your practice and your caseload to make that transition. And we'll have accountability. I'm going to be checking in with you about, have you contacted those people on that list? All that stuff. And for more details on my VIP day, check out www.futuretemplateparent.com. You can sign up for my free guide to implementing intensives, which also has all the info about a VIP day. And let's start moving you towards a practice that gives you 15 hours a week max of clinical time and 3 weeks a month max, with an income exceeding what you're making now. It's doable. It 100% is. Final goal, making intensives the primary focus of your practice in 2024. I think some of what I've been talking about are some of the reasons to do this. I also firmly believe intensives are only going to become more popular. Everyone is talking about them. So many EMDR therapists are starting to offer them and talk about them. Clients know about them, okay? Like sometimes even before they talk to us. The word is out amongst therapists. You can earn more, do better work, and work less. Who wouldn't want that? But I also know this can feel intimidating. This is not the model we were taught in grad school. This is not the model most of us are used to. It felt intimidating to me, and I needed support. I got coaching. I was part of a year-long coaching program. I went to an intensive weekend. And that really gave me the confidence and the support to really focus my practice on intensives. I want to support you and help you make your intensive offering stand out from the crowd, because the more people that do this, the more you need to make your intensive offering appeal, okay? Let's get those referrals rolling in for you. It's totally possible. And I hope that all of the podcast episodes that I've recorded so far and will continue to record can help you see that I'm the one to be your guide. Let's create the future template of your practice together. So happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and to your practice. And let's focus on 2024 being the year that you join the movement of making intensives the focus of your EMDR practice. We can revolutionize how therapy is offered and conceptualized. We can help people heal faster. Think about the ripple effects for this unhealed world, okay? That would have. Let's get you spending fewer hours each week offering therapy, and then offering incredibly high quality therapy during the hours you're working, taking a week off each month, and making intensives the focus of your practice. With that extra income from intensives, you can become that truly skilled EMDR therapist you want to be. You can take those trainings. You can go to those conferences. You'll have the time and the resources to do that, right? We know it's important to keep up our skills, but when we don't have the time or money to invest in it, how do we do that? I currently offer my VIP day, my Get Your Intensives practice up and running in a single day. And I also have, and that's available now, and I also have an exciting offering coming up early spring, I hope, a group coaching program on intensives that will include business coaching, money mindset work, a very robust video course that will go along with it, implementation homework assignments, clinical skills and resources, and all my insight on how to implement those skills, individualized feedback and support, and group support in one complete package. Everything you need to get referrals rolling in and to give you the confidence you need to offer clients a specialized and effective intensive EMDR therapy experience. I am so excited about this offering. I'm going to be sharing more about it in the coming weeks. Oh, I also wanted to add that you can count hours, the group coaching hours, towards certification because we will be talking clinical stuff. And I can consult, I can offer covering clinical hours for you through consultation. So happy 2024. I'm so excited about this program. You'll be hearing a lot more about it in the coming weeks. And I'll be back next week with more juicy intensives content. Please check out my website, www.futuretemplateparent.com, if you haven't already, to get updated on everything I have going on, all my offerings, and just some general intensive support. You can get on my email list there. You can get my free guide to implementing intensives in your practice. And I can't wait to hopefully connect with more of you in a more personal way through some of these offerings in the new year. Take good care. Talk to you next week.